Following the Ukraine war, the US and the European Union joined together to slap harsh penalties against Moscow. But Russia is not going to sit back and do anything about it. The zealous country has retaliated by suspending rocket engine deliveries to the United States to weaken its space program. Stay tuned to find out why Russia has stopped delivering rockets to the US and what consequences will this have. Welcome to Futured. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Whether it's Russian vodka, Russian sports, or even the Russian cats, all of them are popular in the United States. One or the other way, most Russian enterprises are sanctioned by the US. But when it comes to the Russian space sector, the US is now starting to feel the heat. According to the reports, Roscosmos head Dmitry Rogozin has said that Russia has decided to halt deliveries of rocket engines developed for the United States. It appears that Russia has marginalized the Western space program. The country has refused to launch one of its Webb satellites on a SOYUZ rocket, citing UK restrictions. Additionally, they have opted not to provide service for the rocket engines that have already been delivered to the States. Roscosmos set two requirements before the launch on March 5. First, a guarantee that the satellites would not be used for military reasons, and second, the removal of the British government as a stakeholder from OneWeb. The UK, however, refused both conditions, and Roscosmos cancelled the launch. The recent developments are likely to cause concern in the United States and other Western countries. You may be wondering why. As strange as it may seem, Russia and the United States do not cooperate on the surface of our globe, but they do in space. The two superpowers have collaborated extensively in the space sector since the combined Apollo-Soyuz mission in 1975. There are two critical areas for which the West requires Russian assistance: the International Space Station, or ISS, and the rocket engines, operated by 15 countries. Of course, the United States and Russia lead the way and mutually depend on each other. Russia supplies fuel and thrusters to raise the space station to a greater altitude regularly, while NASA's gyroscopes offer stability and their solar panels help generate electricity. So when Biden threatened to degrade the Russian aerospace industry, Rogozin warned of the consequences in the event of any block in cooperation from the US. He threatened that nothing can save the ISS from taking an unguided path from the orbit towards the US or European territories. Because the ISS does not fly over Russia, all dangers are yours, Rogozin stated. But the ISS isn't the only worry. The Russians produce some of the world's best rocket engines, and the United States is heavily reliant on them. Several of the United States national defense satellites launched into orbit this century were powered by Russian-made RD-180 rocket engines. These engines are also used in the United Launch Alliance's Atlas V rocket. The Atlas V rocket will be retired by the end of this century, so it is not a huge issue for the United States. Several space missions rely on Russian rocket parts too. One such example is NORTHROPE's ANTARES rocket, which is utilized for resupply flights to the International Space Station. Europe spent $10 billion creating the GALILEO system, with roughly 24 satellites in orbit, with two more spacecraft set to launch on April 6th. These two satellites are expected to be launched aboard a Russian SOYUZ rocket. As a result, Russia is extensively involved in Western space programs, giving Moscow a powerful tool in its ongoing conflict with the West. If the West continues to embargo Russia, they can retaliate by terminating space cooperation. Let's see the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict on space missions. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine could have a negative impact upon that space economy and missions. The two countries that initiated the space race and spurred a surge in space missions now place everyone in jeopardy due to geopolitical concerns. President Biden, in collaboration with the United Kingdom and other European countries, has imposed severe economic sanctions on Russia. As a result of this, many future space missions are in jeopardy. Many big cooperative missions are carried out by Europe, Russia, and the United States. Russia has been an essential partner in all space projects and is fully aware of the consequences. The situation with the International Space Station could be exceedingly grave as a result of this war. Russia is a vital partner in the International Space Station, and its Progress cargo missions reboot the station to keep it in low Earth orbit. Russia could respond to US sanctions by making the ISS drop from space, according to Russian Space Agency Chief Dmitry Rogozin. As a result of the sanctions, Russia will be unable to maintain the altitude of the ISS, resulting in an uncontrolled orbit of the ISS, posing a risk of a 500-ton structure falling on India and China. However, NASA has answered that it will continue to cooperate with all its international partners, including the Russian state space agency Roscosmos, to ensure the International Space Station's continued safe operations. NASA won't put a space station into orbit until 2030, but Russia has plans to do so after 2024. Elon Musk also commented, saying that while SpaceX is more than capable of maintaining operations on the International Space Station, this is conceivable only if Russia agrees to pass over space station operations to SpaceX, which is highly improbable given that SpaceX is an American space corporation. NASA and Axiom Space have also scheduled the Axiom 1 private crew flight to the International Space Station on March 30th of this year, and all preparations are completed. The expedition, however, could be placed on hold due to the current situation with Russia. While NASA continues to review U.S. sanctions in order to formulate a response, many important space projects planned in conjunction with Russia are already feared to be jeopardized due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The most eagerly anticipated mission, ExoMars, is scheduled to unveil in September aboard a Russian Proton rocket. ExoMars is a collaborative project of the European Space Agency and Roscosmos to place the Rosalind Franklin Mars lander on the surface of Mars. The KAZACHOK lander from Russia is sent to deliver this rover to the surface of Mars. The goal of this mission is to look for indications of previous life and research the environment on Mars. The second part of ExoMars' mission is the Rosalind Franklin rover. This trace gas orbiter was launched into Mars orbit in 2016 as part of the program's first phase. The future of the ExoMars expedition is now in doubt due to global tensions, with Russia playing a pivotal role. The sanctions imposed by the United States and the United Kingdom are intended to deny Russia access to cutting-edge technology. This year, Russia has a slew of space missions planned, including Luna 25, the country's first expedition to the moon's surface in 45 years. This will have a direct impact on Russia's future space operations. Roscosmos bears the technological and financial weight of numerous ongoing space programs that would otherwise have been shelved due to rising budget and technical capacity. Because the Vulcan is still not able to fly, ULA also has to rely on the Atlas V to keep the U.S. government's launch contracts. Nonetheless, Bruno stated that ULA expedited delivery of the final RD-180 engines required before Vulcan takes to the skies. Russia's official space corporation has issued a new wave of threats in reaction to international sanctions. In an interview with Russia 24 TV, Roscosmos chief Dmitry Rogozin announced the new policy. Today we have decided to cease the supply of rocket engines developed by NPO Energomash to the United States. According to TASS, a Russian news outlet, in addition, Roscosmos will stop repairing rocket engines it previously sold to the U.S. Do you think the Ukraine crisis will harm space exploration in the long run? Is this the beginning of a new age Cold War? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get updated with everything on future technology, Elon Musk, or SpaceX.